Before the boardrooms and before the brands, before the businesses and before the breakthroughs, there was a dream, a whisper from God, a vision placed inside of you. And through the struggle and through the sacrifices and through the faith and the fire, you refuse to stay small. This, this is for the ones who rose anyway, for the ones who turned closed doors into open highways, for the ones who never were given a seat at the table, so they built their own. This is for the entrepreneurs who see beyond the now, for the creatives who transform the unseen into reality, for the leaders and the innovators, the risk takers that won't wait for permission to go higher. Here, we celebrate aspiration. Here, we honor the grind. Here, we elevate the vision. Because the road to success was never meant to be easy, but neither were we. We are the sons and daughters of resilience, the descendants of royalty, the builders of legacy, the ones that will outlive our name. This is not just a podcast. This is Level Up. I'm your host, Earl McCray, and in every episode, we bring you real game from real voices, from those who have paved the way to those who are building the way, and to those who will take it further than even imagined. Because it is not about just getting to the top. It's about bringing others with you. It's about breaking chains. It's about shattering limits. It's about walking in divine purpose and power. So, if you're ready to step into something greater, if you're ready to go beyond potential and into impact, if you're ready to stop waiting and start moving, then welcome home. This is where faith meets action. This is where dreams meet discipline. This is where we level up.
All right, Level Up family. We are ready to get started. Let me turn off my screen share. So let me look directly at my audience. I am excited. So look, family, we got a treat in store for y'all today. This brother right here is what happens when discipline meets destiny, when brains, when purpose, when hustle all collide, y'all, and it creates something special called legacy. That's what's going to be felt when this brother is done doing what he needs to do. I'm talking about a man who went from the streets of New York City to Southern Cal and took his talents to Tuskegee, the great University of Tuskegee, and is now commanding logistics game in our U.S. Navy like a boss. So let me tell you a little bit about his backstory. Certified Navy surface warfare supply officer, husband, father, powerhouse in terms of financial literacy, real estate wisdom, and stock market savvy. He's got the blueprint and he's willing to share it for the next 45 minutes, y'all. From nuclear propulsion to empowering the next generation with education and opportunity. This man is making sure our community does not just survive, but really thrive. Okay, that's the goal. So buckle up, fam, because today's episode is about turning vision into value, discipline into dollars, and family into fortune. So get it up, get your notebooks ready for this unstoppable conversation of intentionality. All right, let's put our hands together for Mr. Tyrell T. Yorke. Thank you for being here, brother.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, did I say your last name correct? Is it Yorke or Yorkie?
York, like New York.
You okay? Beautiful, beautiful, man. So listen, man, we are so excited, man, to have you on this Level Up podcast. I guess as a way of a starting point, my audience loves a good origin story. So if you could kind of just ease into how you got to where you are currently, and what were some of the road signs along the way that you had to navigate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, thank you for having me. You alluded to earlier, right? Being born in New York, raised in Southern California. To my mom was immigrated here from the Belize. Met my dad in New York. So I always had like a family from on both coasts and things like that. And what got me here, right? I started pretty much I always had that business mentality. I saw it in my mom, saw it in my dad. He was a barber. My mom, she always worked and stuff like that. And so I started middle school, right? Selling candy, right? In middle school till somebody got me one time. I was selling sour belts with Kool-Aid, go to Smart and Final in LA. You could sell those for about $1 a bag for whatnot. So I learned how to make a profit at a younger age until someone pretty much broke into my locker and stole my money. I was trying to save up money for a Mercedes at 13 years old.
Come on, speak to the brothers.
Right,
Yes.
right. So went through high school, never was a top performing student, right? 2.0, 2.5 average. I pretty much got by on it's about the skin of my teeth. Um, but I got the opportunity once I graduated from high school, did some community college. I got an opportunity where how you saw something online, like I applied for a college that was online. It was in
Right.
Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Oklahoma, and my mom was like, "Why you want to go all the way to Oklahoma?" I was like, "You know what? I want to work with planes. I had a passion for planes at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and they're to start school was a lot of money, you know, but I wasn't concerned about the money. I knew, like, living in Southern California, the friends group that I had, I was like, hey, I need to kind of step away so I could focus a little bit better. And so I ended up going to uh a school called Spartan College in Oklahoma for like a brief stint. But while I was there, academically, I done so much better. Like I got A's, and I'm talking about in physics, any course
Okay.
that they were having me with aircrafts and stuff like that, and that was enough for me to say like, oh shoot, I'm more than just an average student. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
can, put the grind in and
Yeah.
actually do something with it.
Right.
And that's how I ended up coming back to Southern California, finishing my associates, and then applying for Tuskegee right afterwards, and ended up going to Tuskegee. And so that pretty much like started a different hustle in me.
So it sounds like, and this is key for my audience, that you didn't have you had self-worth from the
Hmm.
go. You had self-esteem from the go, but you didn't have
Hmm.
self-confidence until you had these small wins, and they
Exactly.
started compounding, and it made you comfortable pushing yourself to go to the next level.
Oh yeah, and here's the wild thing, right? So Tuskegee, private institution, Alabama, never been to Alabama. I'm talking about New York City to California to Alabama. I
Right.
didn't even have the money to start school. My mom didn't have any money saved up. I was like, hey, well, I don't have no scholarships or nothing like that, or money set to the side or a 529 plan, nothing.
Wow.
So I needed $18,000 just to start the first semester. I had financial aid, and to cover it half, I needed another 9,000. My mom was like, well, what you want to do? Same thing like when I was going to Oklahoma. I was like, you know what, mom? I trust God. Do this for me. I sold my Mitsubishi Eclipse that I had. It was a little hoopty. When you put it in reverse and went boom boom. I sold that for like probably like less than $600. I
Right.
told my mom buy me a one-way ticket, and I got to Tuskegee, and I said, Lord, lead me. Please lead me to who I need to talk to. Started talking to people in the administration and things like that, and they were able to secure for me some scholarships and some additional financial aid. And I said, hey, look, I know, my grades couldn't speak for me. Like I was an average student even in community college. But I said, if I give me a chance, I will
Hmm.
prove that I belong here. And
Right.
every semester after that, 4.0, I'm getting straight A's, enough to justify me being there. And I had to do the same hustle every semester. Like, hey, can I get some money? Look, I earned my way here. Can I get scholarships? I was able to apply for different scholarships to the point where I had a person in Washington, D.C. every semester. He'll say, hey, there's another scholarship coming up. Can you apply for this? I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Boom, boom, boom. Write up my essay, and boom, that helped me get through college at Tuskegee.
Mm. So listen, I want my audience to hear this because I often say this, and I think this is a great real world example. The only place that success comes before work, it's in the dictionary. This brother had to put out that work first.
Mhm.
He had to put out the work. And by putting out that work, then that success kind of snowball. And then folks are willing to give you opportunities, or more importantly, they're willing to create opportunities that didn't exist
Mhm.
in the first place.
Absolutely.
But you show value. You show people that you belonged in the space. And then other things started manifesting. Beautiful,
Yes, sir.
beautiful. Okay. All right. So share this with my audience. So um at some point in every person's origin story, you have to go through what I call the grind season. What I
Mhm.
call, you have a dream, you have a vision of yourself being in a different space, uh, but it's hard.
Yes.
And you're really going out on faith. Share
Mhm.
with my audience a little bit, because I know there's multiple seasons, but what's one
Yes.
of the seasons that you went through?
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm in the middle of a grind season right now, right? And so, what I say is this: faith demands a plan, right? So in Tuskegee, I remember I was in that transition period where it's like, okay, I need to start thinking about what I want to do for when I get out, when I graduate.
Mm-hmm.
The Navy wasn't even on my on my list at the point. I knew I wanted to do military, but I wasn't sure. And so people were applying for internships and things like that. They were do different things. And so I was like, okay, I'm already grinding through, college. I'm getting A's, in all my subjects. And there was an opportunity where GE Aviation came to recruit for internships. And I didn't for a minute I felt like, man, I didn't belong, and this and that and the other. I didn't have any interviews set up. So I went to the primary person. He was the primary point of contact there at Tuskegee, and he came and spoke to the classroom. So I walked up to him after class with my resume, and I was like, hey, sir, look, just give me an opportunity. This is my resume. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, and cause I studied aerospace engineering. Just give me an opportunity. I'm sure you I belong here. He looked at me, he looked at my resume, he was like, I got a slot for you. Boom, boom. Wrote the name, wrote my name down. I interviewed for the position. And sure enough, I was able to do 2 summers of uh internship at GE Aviation, which paid me. These were paid internships that I was able to use to like pretty much fund my last year of college at Tuskegee, because at some point, I ran out of like financial aid, you know,
Wow.
and so
Mm.
yeah, that's pretty much like the grind, right? Like I had the grind. So we're talking about grades there now, and I'm in the middle of a grind now, like and you me being here was just an pretty much me saying like, hey, I want to get into real estate more. I want to meet other movers and shakers. How do I do this? And I just started talking to people. I spoke to my pastor, like, hey, you know anybody who's in real estate and things like that? Oh, my brother, his brother was in Guam. I called him in Guam. And then he was like, "Oh, I know somebody in Hawaii." Called him in Hawaii. Then I ended up meeting, several people before I met D in our the
Mhm.
DB community. And then here we are. We met.
Right, right, right. That's there's a message there, y'all. There's a tremendous value, and you don't you don't necessarily always have the how in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. How is this going to happen? How is that going to happen? This is a classic conversation I have with my 21-year-old. He went to school for engineering, and he's a very linear thinker, very logic driven. And I'm always catching myself saying, young sir, if your why is correct, let God take care of the how. Let
Mm-hmm.
God figure all that out. Allow people, places, and situations to flow into your life, but you just need to be really grounded on what's your why.
Yes.
And I hear the
You,
story echoing in your story.
and I would say this too, like being in the Navy, right? The Navy is very regimented, right? Military it's ordered, it's a lot of order and discipline that's there. And I could see that sometimes it's hard to like find another grind outside of just what's already laid. They already have a pathway laid for you. You follow these steps, you hit these wickets, you're gonna promote to admiral, right?
Correct.
And
Mhm.
so now, like me, I'm trying to be, more so of, okay, I got my, one stream of income here. Like, how do I do something in real estate? How do I do something in the stock market and things like that? So you have to like kind of break free of what, the a certain path so that you can take risk on yourself,
Yeah.
and say like, okay, let me sow seeds here, sow seeds here. You never know where the fruit is gonna, bear itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've heard it said that if you follow the herd, that that
Right.
that herd mentality thing, it's a journey to brokenness,
Mm-hmm.
brokenness. But if you are willing to step out and be alone, be like an eagle. Eagle don't
Right. Soar.
have a lot, and it's very uncomfortable for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Exactly.
uncomfortable. Um, talk to my audience about this for a moment. We understand that wealth isn't created by working hard.
Yeah.
That is a joke. It is created by working strategically. What's one business move or strategic decision that changed the game for you?
Oh, so what changed the game for me, right? So initially, uh, taking the risk to get into real estate, right? For me, it took me years. I watched all the seminars, I read some of the books, all the YouTube videos and things like that. But I was suffering from what they call analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis, right? I probably talked about it for like 5+ years. Like, oh man, I want to get into property. I want to get into property. So, the good thing was my wife was a really major supporter, right? Because I was started sharing videos with her, and she started seeing the possibilities too. And so I was like, man, when we were stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, an opportunity came up where I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here and for at least another couple of years. Maybe I should purchase a house. And so we started working, we just reached out to a realtor in our church, right? And said, look, we got a VA loan, or we have access to a VA loan. So that was pretty much, you know, a stepping stool, a tool for us to like get in without putting too much, money down or anything like that. And
Correct.
so probably within, of me making the decision, like I'm going to actually talk to a real estate agent and see what is even out there. We ended up finding a duplex out there where
Mm,
which I was able to successfully obtain and house hack, right?
yeah.
Essentially, right? We lived on the downstairs and the upstairs was the one
Terrell,
that was the
speak to
most.
my people. Speak to my
Yeah.
people on the back end about the blessings of house hacking. Finish your
Oh,
story.
it
Finish.
it was house hacking. It was pretty beautiful because my mortgage at the time, when I got the house, was about a little 1,500 bucks, and I was paying rent. My rent was before that was $1,600 a month. So I was paying my mortgage ended up being about $1,500 a month. And in that area, the market was taking a 3 bedroom, 2 bath was could go for about another $1,500. So I was able to come my duplex was 2 units, upstairs and downstairs. The upstairs unit was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, downstairs was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So I was able to put it on the market for about $1,500. So I was practically living for free, in that sense. So me and my wife, we were able to do that. She had my had my son, and they were able to just, stay there while I was on the ship and things like that. And we kept that house for about 5 years, and made some fixings while we were in there, and we were able to once we moved and got orders to Japan, and now I'm currently in Hawaii. We were able to say like, okay, I think it's time for us to to sell it. And sure enough, we sold it and we made about $115,000 profit on it.
Love it. Love it. And so how much is the market appreciated on that in those short 5 years?
All
So
right, so
you
we got
acquired
the
it for how
house.
much?
I acquired it for 265,000. So I think once the paperwork came out, everything was like 270, and I was able to sell it for 415 ish. Yeah. No, actually no, 390. Yeah, I was able to sell it for like 390.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
That was it. Once
okay.
I seen the whole process, I was like, oh,
Okay.
I could do this
All right.
again.
Now, were you able to structure your sale so you didn't get taxed on those money? Did you take those dollars and flow it into another real estate deal?
That's the only regret, right?
Okay.
So my only regret was like, no, I didn't roll that into like a 1031 exchange and things
That's
like
what I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah,
1031.
yeah. So now with moving forward, I was like, okay, look, babe, we know how we hold the whole process. Now we just need to be a little bit more structured when it comes to what the end goal is and how we're going to roll that into another property.
Hmm. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I mean, these are life lessons, man. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
get life lessons until you live life.
Mm-hmm.
This man is telling you in hindsight, this was a strategic win for him. However, in retrospect, he could have tweaked here or tweaked there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Exactly.
and that's a huge thing. And now speak to my audience about this. And we get it. My primary demographic are black and brown entrepreneurs, and
Yes.
we know that there's often doors that don't open for us automatically. Now that doesn't mean that we can't get through those doors. That
Mm-hmm.
just we just need to know up front we got to put a little bit more investment into the work.
Yes.
So my question is this: how did you break through spaces that weren't initially built for you, whether they tell you or
Wow.
not?
So one of the things that I've learned, and this is just based off experience, so I could tie it back to going to Tuskegee at first, right? HBU, HBCU, and then going to GE. So it's primarily diverse. So I got exposed to working with different groups, white, black, all that stuff, right? And so I know that one thing that is respected is producing results, right? And so when I joined the Navy and I'm in the wardroom with other officers, there's been times where I was the only one of few of a handful. I'm talking about out of all the officers on the ship, it's probably about 35 officers and there's five black, you know. But one thing we can respect across the board is how we produce results. And do you know your job? If you don't know your job, then people already gonna they have like a low expectation, you know.
Mhm.
So if you can prove yourself in that area by saying like, hey, this is my job, this is how I'm doing it, I'm producing results, I'm helping you, you're helping me, you're giving me what I need, then there's a mutual respect that is built there, and then people pretty much like doors will open up for you and things like that. And I've learned to kind of like maybe even it might be either some kind of naivety or just being ignoring if there were anything that people may have projected on me, because at the end of the day I'm like, hey, I know I could do my job, and if I can't do it, I know some people that can help me get to the answers that I need, you know.
So Terrell, what if someone wanted to give you pushback and say, well, yeah, I'm competent, but still, I'm not always afforded the same opportunities that match
Hmm.
the competence that I'm bringing to the table. How would you respond to that?
I would say if you are competent but yet you're not getting the same opportunities in one area, then I would continue or find another area, right? I think we live in a day and age,
Bingo,
right?
bingo. Yep.
That you don't have to, like, for example, I got family in LA, I got family in, now my wife's from Texas, and I live here in Hawaii. So there's so many different demographics across the board. If you just reach out to people talk to different, somebody's going to give you an opportunity. At the end of the day, I learned that business is all about relationships with
Mm-hmm.
people. Okay. And there are going to be people doing what you want to do in those spaces. So you just have to show up to these circles, show up to the networking events. You're going to meet somebody that looks like you know, and then I think you got to look the part too, sometimes too, because people are biased, you know, and people have their you know, prejudices, right? Like I'm not, if I'm showing up to a networking event for real estate, I'm not going to show up in a hoodie, you know, and you know, some sweatpants and stuff like that. I'm going to wear a nice shirt or something like that, just so I could almost look the part. Because then once I start speaking the language, speaking the jargon, oh, okay, you know what you're talking about, and you know, I'm saying you look like a business, a professional. Here, let's go meet and have some coffee, and we
Facts.
could talk, and we
Facts.
could talk.
Yeah. Yeah. It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
but it does.
Mm-hmm.
So part of winning the game is knowing the rules for the game.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. All right. So let me ask this now. Mindset, money, and mastery. We were just talking about competency a moment ago. So one of my favorite authors and one of my heroes is billionaire Byron Allen. And Byron, he has a very, very unique philosophy. His philosophy is wealth is about ownership and not about participation. And that messed with me for a while because my back door into real estate was creatively because I didn't have the finances. But then I heard about this game called wholesale. So
Yeah.
so I was the plug, right? I would find the vacant property. I would negotiate, this really sweet deal, and I would connect them to the cash buyer. But I wasn't owning nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was participating in these transactions, but so that was my evolution from that creative real estate play to the Airbnb play, where
Yeah. Yeah.
I can put people on without needing to own the property. But so my ultimate question is this: what does ownership mean to you, and how have you had to structure your business dealings for long term control?
Hmm. Ownership to me, right, is essentially you put in your if your name is on something, you pretty much you're going to see it through. You're going to see it through. You're going to be it's going to have a decent presentation. You're going to have some level of professionalism in it, and when it comes to, like I said, dealing with people, then you're going to make sure you maintain the relationships around a particular subject, whether it be a business or a property and things like that. Make sure the relationship is good. Essentially, it may not be 100%, but it's trending in in the right direction. You know, I see. So I like that quote. You know, you said what wealth is all about ownership and not just participation. Because you got
Participation.
people is that people participate, for example, in the real estate and they're slumlords. You know, like they're not keeping that relationship with their tenants. You know, and then now the tenants is like not happy and things like that.
Right.
So it's all about, you know, uh that maintaining a relationship with people across the board.
Yeah, I love it. And the other part of ownership, which is a natural transition, is we can't really talk about legacy if you don't own nothing.
Hmm.
One of the things that uh, I think about in retrospect is my father. You know,
Yeah.
he didn't have he was a very hard worker. And he didn't have like a lot of the opportunities like I participate in the mastermind with you and the rest of the DB community. My father didn't have that.
Hmm.
So he was grinding at his corporate job,
Yeah.
being passed over promotion. But then he had his hustle. He got about 30 properties. And for my audience that don't know, there's different neighborhood types. Your
Mm-hmm.
A, your B, your C, your D. And typically, you always start in the cheapest way to get in the game. So my dad had a lot of D style properties.
Mm-hmm.
And with D style properties, we talk about in the community, your cash flow is greater, but your headaches are greater.
Mm-hmm.
So, true story. When I got ready to go into the military, my dad didn't want me to go. He said, "Son, I'm about to shift gears. I'm about to leave my corporate job. I want you and your two brothers to take it over."
Mm-hmm.
But Tyrell, we were so naivety. I chose the military instead of because I didn't see. I saw all the headaches.
Yeah.
I saw all the headaches, and so in retrospect, man, I could have been in the game so much faster if I had the wisdom of just seeing, well, there's different levels. There's levels to everything. My dad was
Mm-hmm.
just at that first level because he didn't have
Yeah.
the mentorship or access to the information to get to level two, right?
Yeah.
So so we go back to the question about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really talk legacy until you have ownership. So
Mm-hmm.
one of my questions is this: generational wealth isn't just about money. It's about knowledge and infrastructure. What's one principle you live by that
Mm.
ensures that your success will outlast you?
I would say planning, planning and financial literacy to my kids, right? So one of the things I've been teaching my son, he's the second, right? So Tyrell the second. And I make sure I'm sharing with him. He's 4 years old, but I'm already when I'm trading on the stock market, I was day trading for a point of time. Um, he understands the jargon a little bit now. He was like, "Oh, you're selling options? Oh, you're trading on the market? Oh, that's a call, that's a put." So I'm
Yes.
speaking, that language with him. Another thing is that I'm learning more about is life insurance, right? Like there's different, policies that we can, partake in so that if I were to pass away, God forbid, before my time, uh my son, my wife, they're able to be taken care of because I think it doesn't necessarily matter. It doesn't have to be $1 million policy to take out to give to your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. No, that's great. But even if it just starts off as something more than what they had before,
Mm-hmm.
then that could pretty much help you out. So yeah, financial literacy and make sure that they're protected. That one thing we're learning about the DB community is how to set up trust,
Right.
things like that, having legal structures in place, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's for me, my thought process on it.
That's real good. How far have you gotten along in your education with the insurance around uh, getting the right policy so that you can become the bank? Yeah,
Oh,
it's called infinite banking.
yeah, yeah. So
Familiar with
I
that?
watched so many videos on infinite banking and right now I'm working on a project with my brother-in-law where we're pretty much helping families across North America on our three principles, and that's just financial literacy, how to how to save 10% and things like that, self-improvement, and the another with how to reduce money and taxes and things like that, and how to get multi-handed income because we need multi streams of income, you know what I
Definitely.
mean? And so I've gotten to the point with learning about like policies and stuff like that, like I could pretty much make myself a millionaire, with the if I put money to the side. These contracts, these that you make with these companies, whether it be an IUL, whole life insurance policy, you could essentially borrow from that once you put enough money in and
Correct.
reinvest that,
Correct.
in real estate, in stocks if you want to really take that risk. But it's almost like you can pretty much create what you want in this economy.
Yes, it's crazy. I'm working on a project too with an IUL, and the crazy part is because I'm in New York, the program I'm trying to get in is in Alford. So I'm about to do a multifamily deal in Houston, where my
Hmm.
my my youngest lives, And then I can get that ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited about it because, like you, I've been on the sideline looking. I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Right.
It's the knowledge though. So we're talking this legacy conversation. People out there, it's not just about the assets in terms of gold and silver. It's about, look, you can't put anything into your kids if you don't stop long enough to grab some wisdom. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not leaving them wisdom, you're just leaving them all the mistakes that were left for you.
Mm-hmm.
Turn off the TV, people. I'm sorry. Unplug from some of the stuff that you see on social media.
Got
I know
to.
it's crazy politically, but look, all that's white noise, y'all. We got to invest in our education,
Oh yeah.
and
You know.
it's hard. I think it's harder. I think it's harder for younger
Mm-hmm.
people to
Mm-hmm.
not be distracted by the white noise. Because Tyrell, you and I agree. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. It's all about what we do in our house
Right.
in terms of plotting the next 4 years, the next 8 years, the next
Absolutely.
16 years.
You have to put that plan on paper. That's the season I'm in right now, right? We talked about what season I'm in, grinding, right? And I wrote out, I got plans for everything. I got it right here in front of me. I got my health plan for my family, the York
I
health
love it.
plan. I got the York family wealth and financial strategy plan. I printed it out. It's on paper,
Okay, okay.
and essentially, yeah, like okay, I got a goal for emergency fund savings goals for tithing because you got to give back, right? At the end of the day, um, for how I'm going to strategically move my Robinhood account, and my wife she got a Fidelity account with a Roth IRA. So I'm just like, okay, how are we going to strategically move? My son he got a an individual an account for kids. Like he can't really touch it until he's 18.
I
So
love
I'm
it.
managing it. Like I have it
Listen, bro.
on paper.
I'm gonna lean into you, brother, because I think about things, but for me, it's hard for me to just to get them on paper. And
Yeah, I
that's
mean, so for
yeah,
me, what I've been doing, like, because Chat GPT has changed the game, right? All
yeah.
I gotta do is come up with the idea, the prompt, things like that. All right. So this is the idea I want. I type out a summary, essentially what I
Help
want,
my
and
audience out for a second. Help me out too,
yeah,
brother.
yeah,
What are
yeah.
some really go-to prompts? Because I'm a big 4.0 guy
I
myself.
I freestyle.
Okay,
I freestyle it on ChatGPT because sometimes I don't want to like use somebody else's idea and I got so but I freestyle is like for example when I came up with the wealth and financial planning I was like okay help me come up with a financial wealth management plan or whatever that I'm putting money to the side for emergency fund. I'm giving this amount. I'm doing this for my Robinhood and this is and then it'll spit out a result. And then based on that result, I'm like, okay, I see what you're trying to say here, but let me add this, let me
I,
add that. So I
I,
tailor,
I,
yeah, yeah, is that continue fine tuning it because this is not the final plan. This is probably going to change probably like at least several times before the end of this year. Even with my health plan, I'm trying to get back in shape down to 20% body fat,
I love
you
it. Basic
know.
training, baby.
But yeah, I was boxing this week. I'm a little sore, you know. I'm
I
running, I'm
love it.
boxing. Yeah, all that stuff.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, well, listen, brother. We gonna get ready to go to our speed round because I'm looking at the clock. We got about 5 minutes
Oh shoot.
before we got to shut this down and get ready for our learning in our community. All right,
Yes,
so
yes.
question one. If you have 5 minutes to have a conversation uh with your younger self, you time travel. You get
Yes.
5 minutes to speak to your younger self. What's the one thing you want to make sure the younger Tyrell knows?
Don't get distracted by the girls.
Hmm.
Learn how to don't get distracted by girls. Um, profit is better than wages.
Mm.
Profits is better than wages. So learn
Okay.
how to make a profit and put that money to the side. Profit, put that money to the side. So plan, profit, and give.
I love it. I love it. All right, question two. Give us one piece of advice that has made the biggest impact on your journey.
One piece of advice. We heard the saying, scared money don't make no money, right? So, hey, you have a plan, write the plan down, but then move. move on to action, because the plan kind of creates the framework for the work. And you pretty much, if you know where you want to go, just go and meet people, because at the end of the day, it's people. Maintain good relationships with people, and you will succeed.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Question 3. Success leaves clues. What's one
Hmm.
book, one habit, or one mentor that changed the way you think?
All right, for sure. Um, First book that comes to mind, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read that. I'm actually planning on reading it again. This will
Have
probably be
you
my
read The
third time.
Black Choice? They,
Not have not
they
run the black.
remixed it. Yeah, they
Oh,
remixed it. Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna make sure to write that down.
Yeah.
Uh, Rich Dad Poor Dad changed the game for me by Robert Kiyosaki. That was like the first self-help business model book I read on this journey of 10 years ago. And then listening to like Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe has been
Oh,
like
he's powerful.
ex oh man, he changed
Powerful.
the game from a kingdom mindset to have
Yeah.
that kingdom mindset and placing that in business. Game changer.
That's good. That's real good.
Hmm.
Speaking of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. All right,
Yeah.
audience. I'm about to do something real quick, audience. All right,
Uh-oh.
Tyrell, I want permission to bring you back after we get back from Hawaii to be a part. So on a monthly basis, as part of my financial literacy not for
Hmm.
profit, I bring groups together and we meet
Yeah,
at our
yeah.
church building and we
Okay.
play his game called Cash Flow.
Oh, nice.
So we spend an hour doing cash flow. In an hour two, I bring in a guest speaker that can speak some wisdom and some life into my young people. And then hour three, we do some food and fellowship. I would love to bring you
Praise
back.
God.
Yeah,
Oh, praise God. That's what I'm talking about. This is awesome, because the way I look at this, right, and I've changed my mindset over these past few months, right? And my goal at a minimum, if I could be an MC in the space, an MC, like an MC in the space where I'm like, I'm encouraging people in financial literacy, right? Encouraging, motivating people in the world of real estate and opening the possibilities and in the stock market. It's so many people that don't understand the stock market, right? They think it's gambling and this, and the other. I'm like, you are leaving money on the table just
yeah,
by not learning, just
yeah,
learning the basics. So
yeah.
yes, I'll be honored.
Well, so here's why. So I'm trying to transition my group from 1.0, the board game, to
Mm-hmm.
2.0, where we talk
Mm-hmm.
about option trading.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, oh my God, if people can get for you the mindset of being able to make money when the stock market goes down, messes
It's
blows some people's reality.
it's a game changer.
But it's real.
Yes.
So
It's it's
you can create wealth from your family for your family, no matter what's going on in the market. But you
mm-hmm.
need knowledge.
You need it. You need it. Calls
Oh,
and puts. You need
yeah.
just you just gotta once you learn it and you see like, oh snap, then you look at the world differently. You're like, oh, hold up, this whole economic game is just a game of options, right? Yeah, some people don't realize when you buy car insurance, you're really just playing put options. When you buy car insurance,
Yes.
at the end of the day, you got to pay a premium, and the
Yeah.
and the company is banking on you not getting into an accident. So when
Absolutely.
you get into an accident, you become more risky, which means you have to pay a higher premium. So
Right.
because you know what I'm saying. So like, it's a game
Connecting
changer.
all those pieces. I mean, if we can do that for ourselves, but also for our kids and our kids, it makes them view the world so differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one of the biggest things for me as a teacher is I feel like this. I don't blame the kids, but I do blame
Mm-hmm.
the parents. I think this new age style of parenting, you create, is very nurturing. Don't get me wrong. Kids know that
Mm-hmm.
they're loved, but kids don't necessarily get the idea that if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the sense that there's no victims here. I don't care
Right.
what's going on. You are not a victim.
Right. Right.
And so this new age of parenting, there's something missing. The way we were parented was very different.
Yeah.
Our parents weren't trying to be our best friends either.
Yeah.
But I will leave that alone. I will leave that alone.
All good.
So listen, here's my final question. Here's my final question.
All right, for sure.
We've been circling the runway, circling the airport, we getting ready to land this plane. My final question is this. Based on this being our Level Up podcast, and we just don't talk about success. And we've just kind of danced around some of the things you're doing. I've done that for a reason because I definitely want to bring you back. It's all about execution here. If someone is listening right now and they're inspired to move, but they don't know where to start, what would the first bit of advice you would give them that can change their life today?
I got this pencil right here, and I got a notebook, my notebook right here. Write the plan down and on paper. Okay. Once you got an idea of like where you want to go, I even have an Excel sheet, right? I would say where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years and move. When I say move, Facebook, Google, if it's real estate, Google real estate. The next meeting is on Tuesday. Be there and talk to people. Talk to people. If it's stocks, get past the YouTube phase. Go and meet people face to face, because at the end of the day, it's all about breaking bread. If we don't breaking bread with people, sitting down, having a coffee with someone, so faith, because we have to move on faith. Faith, I keep saying this, demands a plan. When we ask God, like, hey, God, what am I going to help you? I need help. I need you to help me. Help you with what?
Yeah.
If you don't have a plan down on paper, you know what I'm saying? Because he's like, he wants to give us the desire of our hearts. So that's what I want to say. If somebody was listening and they wanted to make that move, I would just say, look, just go and meet people that are doing what you want to do. It's a game changer. Just having the conversation, it'll change your life.
Amen. Good stuff, man. But listen, that's another one in the books, y'all. I told you I'm trying to bring to you guys some insight, some wisdom, some experience. And that's this brother in a nutshell. Tyrell, man. I appreciate you so much, man. So look, man, salute to you, man. Get some
Yes.
refreshments. I'll see you in our DB community in about 15.
Yes. 15
All right.
minutes. All right. Thank you.
Love you and respect you, brother. Thank you, man.
God
All right,
bless.
family, we're out, man. As always, be a blessed, but more importantly, be a blessing. Take care, everybody.